Hello, comrades. Welcome back to Jacob's Custom Gunworks. Got a really neat piece of history on the table today. This is a Mauser C96 bolo broom handle pistol that has been converted into 9mm. What we did, this gun started life out as a 7.63 Mauser, and of course we converted it to 9mm. I got this at a gun show many years ago, and the gentleman that had it, we negotiated, and I ended up getting this and a couple of strip clips and a box of 50 rounds of 7.63 Mauser. I did look over the gun as to the best of my ability. Admittedly, the barrel was in not great shape, but I went ahead and bought it anyway because the price was right. So took it home, shot it. It shot surprisingly well for having a fairly worn out barrel with 7.63 Mauser. I wish we would have shot it into some ballistic gel or some sort like a foam book or something, just so we could have pulled the round out just to see how well the lands and grooves were making an impact on the bullet. But it is what it is. Years and years later, I found a place that did barrel conversions, and they could convert your barrel or rebuild it to the original caliber, or even go to the 9mm caliber, because of course the Red 9. I'll be honest, the entire reason why I wanted this gun was because of Resident Evil 4, the original, not the remake. And when I saw it in game, I thought it was just the coolest handgun I had seen in quite a while. It was years later that I actually got to shoot one, and then of course own one. So some of the things that I have done, of course, is the 9mm conversion that we talked about. The other thing I did is the outside's actually in fairly good shape. There's a little bit of pitting in a couple areas, but I reblued this. And I'm going to tell you that if you try to reblue old metal, and it seems like every time I try to do this with an older firearm, cold bluing solution is really hit and miss. It depends on the make and manufacturer. And what happens is you may get an area where when you reblue this, especially in cold, that you might get splotches. So there might be, like in this area here, there might be a really good piece of bluing there, but up in here, there's nothing. It didn't take at all. And it doesn't matter how hard you clean it, how long you dry it, it just doesn't want to take. So with my hybrid solution that I have kind of perfected, it took, and it looks the part. So I'm not going to get any more creative than that. I think it's just fine. The Red 9 grips, I got these from Sarco. They were like 20 bucks. And of course, now that it's 9mm, I figured that was a good investment. I can also tell you that the original grips were so worn down that there's probably half of the material left that you can see. So I think this either roared around with somebody, it either got used a lot or rode around with somebody quite a bit. So it's kind of neat to see. Firearm is loaded with strip clips, and you've seen this in other videos and whatnot, so I'm not going to get too crazy. But that's where you put the stripper clips, and of course you push down on the round and load the firearm, take the stripper clip out, and you're good to go. One of the things I had to do when I got it back, immediately after I got it back with the barrel conversion, I went out and shot it. And I had some failures, which kind of angered me quite a bit. I think I had 30 rounds, and I had, for instance, the extractor head broke, it sheared off. And granted, it was probably an original part, so yeah, I wasn't too angry about that. But what I was angry about was there was a brand new firing pin in here. It broke. The safety broke, and it just was not a good day. I did not use any hot reloads or anything like that. I used factory ammunition, and there shouldn't have been any reason why it didn't work. I did put a brand new firing pin spring and bolt spring in prior to that, so there was no worn out internals with that. It was one of the first things I did, but I decided, well, I'll just go ahead and rebuild it. So I rebuilt it pretty much from the ground up. The trigger is an original, but all of the inside and the internal parts, those are new. Of course, the safety's new, firing pin's new, and then the extractor is new. And so after that was done, went out to go ahead and shoot it again. Since then, I've probably put another 300 rounds through it, and it shoots pretty well. It does have the typical Mauser throw around, and what I mean is what'll happen is, say you load 10 rounds, and you shoot 9 times, and on the 10th one, of course, either the bolt's closed or it's locked back, and you don't have anything there. Well, it threw around at some point. It seems to be a Mauser thing, where every once in a while it'll just throw around. So if you're out there and you notice that there's one laying next to your feet that's unfired, well, that's probably what it did. Other than that, they're a lot of fun to shoot. Every time I show up to the range with this thing and somebody else is out there, it always turns ahead. They're like, hey, what the hell is that thing? And of course, you gotta let them shoot a couple of rounds, and it's a good time. Being a bolo, this is a smaller frame, a smaller grip, so if you have bigger hands, you could get hammer bites, so make sure when you're holding this to hold a little bit lower. Other than that, I have a lot of fun with it. It's a really neat piece of history, and I figured it was something I could share with you guys. So that's what I got for you today. Until next time, comrades.